Alrighty, well, we're just about done with this Bushcraft 101, a field guide to the art of wilderness survival. We are on chapter 9, and it is about trees. And your trees are a resource that can get you through the worst of times on all different types of aspects that you're going to need for survival. Okay? So, pines. We're going to talk about pine trees first. And pine trees, I mean, they're everywhere all over the United States. There's so many different types of breeds of pine trees that it's just ridiculous. But, I hope that this chapter helps you as much as it did me. I've learned quite a bit from just this one chapter on trees and the resources. Now, my disclaimer is I am not a doctor. Do not follow my instruction. I'm only telling you these are the things that I've used and that I've done. So don't be stupid and go out and kill yourself. Okay? Just saying. Let's see. Pine trees are evergreen, so they keep their needles all year round, and this can be a vital resource, especially when you're out in the bush. White pine is my favorite, of course, and it is best for medicinal value. And red pines are the best for other things such as fire starting materials and construction tasks. All pines have edible seeds. If you go to the store and you price some pine seeds, you're going to see how expensive they are, but they are so nutritious, okay? A lot of times it is a lot of more trouble than what it's worth, but if you're hungry, that's what it is. Now, a white pine needles can be made into an infusion very high in vitamin C that makes a good immune system boosting drink. To accomplish this, you just collect a handful of needles, cut them in thirds, place them into 8 ounces of boiled water, place a lid on a container, and then let them steep away from the fire for 15 minutes. Strain and drink 3 times per day in the winter or when food resources are scarce. If you're out in the bush and you ain't got nothing to eat, just know that pine trees will keep you alive with the nutrients that you need. Now, these are nutrients, not necessarily calories. We'll get to calorie intake when we get to the trees that have nuts on them, like the black walnuts and stuff. First aid. Pines are good for first aid. The pine sap is a great resource for first aid as well as being an adhesive. This is something that I've learned a long time ago. And you can learn a lot of things from Native American traditions and how they lived out as nomadic hunters and gatherers. The time will come, that is where we're going to be at that point, and this is what I have prepared for, such as the name Bug Out Adventures, okay? I am prepared to go out into the bush and eat tree bark if I need to, okay? This is just something that I'm giving to y'all that I found useful and necessary in my adventures bugging out, okay? Now, of course, firewood, fat wood, is a resinous area of the pine that the tree sap collects in naturally. Okay, this fat wood, it'll burn. Okay, you can get your fire started. Another thing with pine trees, these needles from the pine trees, they do help on padding and stuff for your bedding. Okay, now on this pine resin, white pine also makes a decent kit for primitive fire making, such as a bow drill set. But you have to be careful about the heavy resin-laden areas of the deadwood for this task. And this is something that Dave Canterbury points out a lot throughout this book, is being cautious and aware of the things that you're doing in order to survive in the bush. Okay? Pine pitch is made from a mixture of pine sap, charcoal from the fire, and some type of binder to give some flexibility, such as cattail head fibers or ground or powdered rabbit droppings. This makes a great adhesive for anything from patching containers to hafting an arrowhead or a blade. Okay? And he goes into depth on how to do that. but that that fat wood is important. And once you spot it and you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, you don't never want to burn pine inside your house. Okay, you don't want to do it because of the fumes and the black smoke. But you can also buy fat wood pre-made at the stores, relatively cheap. And what I've done is I've bought a couple of containers of it, a couple bags of it, and cut it down and packed it away, so you don't have to carry as much with you in your pack. Okay. I love pine trees. I absolutely love them. The pine cones, when they're not wet, they make great fire starters too. I mean, I'm just saying, this is something that you will find useful and needed. And I suggest that you do some research on these things, okay? To find out what you can and you can't do with pine, okay? All right, here's one for you. First aid with pine sap is a great resource, as well as being an adhesive. In its raw form, it can be used as a quick new skin plaster that will help cover a wound and is an antiseptic, okay? Pine sap can be found anywhere the tree has sustained injury. If it is needed and you can't find it, a purposeful cut to the tree with an axe will usually reveal a small amount fairly quickly, okay? Um, what you do, you can cut the outer bark from the small branches into a strip to use as a makeshift plaster that is highly antiseptic and sticky on the inside as a result of the sap. You can use this to cover up a wound and tape a wound up if you have to. Okay, I'm just saying. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you these are the things that have worked for me in the past. Moving right along here. Okay, for willows and poplar trees. These trees are all in the same family, and the four most common of these in the eastern woodlands are the white and black willow, the tulip poplar, and the cottonwood. We have a lot of cottonwoods down here in Texas, and I love cottonwoods. For one, they're huge trees, but two, they're very easy to carry. The wood, once you cut it, it's light. It could be a huge piece of cut wood, and it's just as light as a feather, hence the name cottonwood. And when they start to flower, they give off this beautiful white pollen that looks like snow, okay? Poplars are some of the best trees for construction and combustion, okay? All these make excellent fire sets for primitive combustion, which is the bow drill. All of them have inner barks that, when dried, can be processed into highly flammable bird's nest and tinder bundles, okay? There's no reason why your fire should ever go out if you're out in the bush. For one, you have a plethora, a grocery store of fire starters right there at your fingertips, okay? Willows are very pliable and can be used for cordage. Okay, before we get into the black walnut, I do want to share this with you. Willow bark has been used for thousands of years as a painkiller, like aspirin. It can be chewed or you can prepare a decoction, all right? Just keep that in mind. All right, so with black walnut trees, however, they have many useful purposes as well, and medicinal properties. The three main chemical compounds from this tree that you get is iodine, tannin, and juglone. Okay, now with the iodine from the tree, it's beneficial as a first aid element for its ability to kill germs. And that's what it gives the black walnuts its quality as a dye for anything from fabrics to wood to metal traps. Okay, the green holes are also effective in preventing rust. Okay, when rubbed raw on metals, such as a 01 tool steel to a 1095 knife blades, it will give them a nice dark patina that helps prevent rusting. Tannin is an astringent. The green leaves of this tree used in an infusion are excellent for drying conditions such as rashes and poison ivy, which we will get to at the end of this video, some poisonous vines and things like that you want to be aware of. All right, before we get into the sassafras, which I love sassafras trees. Sassafras trees. Say that 10 times fast. All right, now this juglone on the black walnut, it is a poison. You must remember that. All right, but the cool thing is that you can crush the black walnut wholes and place them in the water to release toxins to stun fish. Okay, so that if you can fish, at least you'll be able to catch them that way because it will stun them and they'll come to the top of to the water. Okay, for this sassafras, the tree bark is a carminative, expels digestive gas, is what that means, and will help with digestive orders of any kind. Okay, it makes a pleasant tea and is also an astringent and can be used as a poultice for skin ailments. The wood burns hot and long because of the inherent oils in the tree itself. Sassafras can be used as a dye for fabrics as well, yielding a rusty color. The tree's bark and roots are also high in vitamin C, making it an immune system booster. Now, you want to make sure that you check that you're not allergic to any of this stuff. Don't be stupid and kill yourself. This is my disclaimer. These are just suggestions or things that I've used, in the past that helped me along my way. All right. So we're fixing to get into oaks. And oaks are beautiful trees. I tell you what, they offer so much to a person. It's just amazing how oaks are underrated in some of these trees that we have in our yards and in our forests that we don't appreciate as much. Now this right here is a cottonwood, and like I said, cottonwoods are wonderful. The wood is light to carry if you have to carry it, but it burns fast too, so you want to be careful with that. But our oak trees here, that's coming up pretty fast. Oaks are some of the strongest of the building materials in the eastern woodlands and pretty much anywhere in the United States. They can make good bows and handles, and the wood burns long and hot. The medicinal value of oak cannot be overstated. There are two main types of oak, white and red. There is a simple way to tell the difference, okay? Listen to this. Red oak has pointed leaves and white oak has lobed leaves. I've given you several examples of oak leaves to look at. I mean, you can pretty much identify your trees by the bark and the leaf that's on them, okay? White oak is such a powerful medicine that it was used as a symbol for Europeans for several years. The inner bark of the white oak, when ground and decocted, is said to be good for all ailments above the neck. In addition, any type of fluid leakage can be controlled by this medicinal tree, from runny noses to diarrhea. Oaks are full of astringents and tannins. All right, y'all. Here are the big bad boys you want to watch out for when you're out in the bush. You don't want to get this on you. You want to be aware. Dave Canterbury gives some good examples on how to take care of this as well in his book. But you got your poison oak, your poison sumac, and poison ivy. Leaves of 3, is what you want to watch out for. But I've given these visuals so that you can at least try and identify them, because a lot of people have this stuff in their yards. They're in the parks and things like that, little nature walks, and you want to be aware of this stuff. Now, yeah, Benadryl works, but some people have really bad allergic reactions to these things, and they pus and everything up on your skin. Thank you for watching. Be safe, keep on prepping, and learn how to bug out and take care of yourself.